Hello, hello. Hey, kitty cat. New location, new hat. That's right. I try to mix it up for you guys. Move it around a little bit so we can keep things fresh. Being fresh isn't always a bad thing. Hello, hello. Hello, how you doing? Yes, tried out some new technology here, and it wasn't working too great. So you have to bring that one to the drawing board again and sort out that business and see why that audio wasn't as. But interestingly enough, sometimes less is more, and I'm using less equipment, and you can actually hear it. 85 degrees. That's down in FLA, huh? Yeah, we had, I think it was 43 degrees was the high here. Look out my window. What's out my window? Are you out my window, kitty cat? Oh my goodness. But yeah, so let's get this situated. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. We have an interesting topic. As I clean my glasses. Is my audio and video okay? Is the mugshot looking somewhat clear? Thank you. Too cold and burr. Yeah, well, you know what? Yeah, moving to Florida, John, it's wimped you out a little bit, brother. Sorry. Okay, audio is good. Video is good. I tried a microphone, a lapel mic, and it was, hey, Michael, and it was no bueno. For some reason, let me check something out here. I'm going to adjust on the fly. Ha! This is good. Okay, so we do this. I'm adjusting on the fly, people. Hang on. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. This is what happens when you're your own film crew and all that jazz. So I can be a little more comfortable. I can sit back a little bit. We can get all close and personal. It's not a terrible thing, being up and close. I'm sorry, I can look at. Yes, it was on my end. It was on my end. I believe it was on this end because it does. Houston, we have a problem. Yeah. Can you guys see me okay? Am I back live? Can you see me? And we're back, yes. And I do believe there's a technical issue on my end. And we're in the process of taking care of this technical difficulty, so thank you very much to coming back to the... Yes, we are back. And thank you guys. You know, I have to say, there was a question, Cutie Cat had said, would I ever do a meetup? Bradley, what up? Apollo over, testing, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I know that, again, if you saw my setup is literally, since I'm a pretty zen kind of guy, my setup is literally a tripod, a light and my phone. No joke. It's that simple. So I'm trying to work with as little equipment as possible. Reason being, it'd be just really productive to, when I'm on location, which I'm hoping to be on more locations. That's one of the things that we're working on doing, is being in more locations and doing a lot more. You know, you never know. Restaurant reviews, food reviews, movie critiques. You never know what I'll be doing, what insight that I'll be putting in. Yeah, right. Yeah, Coal State Park. I've already broadcasted from Coal State Park, right here in Rhode Island. But also too, just I'm trying to keep it down to a minimum where it's not a big setup. Granted, until National Geographic or Animal Planet or Discovery Channel or Travel Channel or the Food Network or whoever wants to pick it up, call me. Have your peeps call my peeps, which is not that many peeps. But yeah, but we're working with very little equipment. So as I'm building up equipment, I'm trying to keep it, right? Hey, that's how it started, you know. You know? Now, Cutie Cat, where are you in the big city? Which big city you in? And to address Cutie Cat's question, if I ever would meet up with fans. Now, first of all, I was never aware that I had fans. That's kind of a strange thing for me because I don't consider you guys like fans, really. I don't allow my ego to even think that way. However, you're part of my circle. You're part of my peeps. You know what I mean? For sure. Anyone, and also too, I want to give a big shout out to my new subscribers. I got a couple of new subscribers recently, which is fantastic. We're still in the process of getting to that infamous 1,000 aspect. I think we're at 149. I know it sounds so horrible, but the struggle is real. But on a good note, this is the 109th episode. And Thursday was my second year. Oh, you're in Queens. Oh, cool. I haven't been to North York in a long time. I'll go into big cities. I'm more of a in the forest kind of guy, but I wouldn't mind doing a city. I've been in cities. I've been in Joburg and Manchester, New England, UK. But yes, 1,000 subscribers is the goal. So, see, this is a weird thing. This is a weird situation too, is that I'm quite aware of the whole marketing machine and the whole technique of marketing and all that. I've been doing it a long time. But the thing is too, I'm not really a pushy kind of person. So you've noticed I put up posts I put up a couple of posts saying, hey, I need subscribers. You know, guys, subscribe. But there's a level of not doing it too much, you know? Exactly, Bradley. And I think that's part of it too. There's a lot of great content out there, but it's hard to find. And I'm trying to put out good content. I'm trying to do that as well, but also still be me, not all of a sudden be artificial. I used to have a character when I was doing radio where I used to call him Mr. Radio. Sounds pretty simple. But instead of him talking like my normal voice, which is my normal voice, I'd be talking like this, like he'd be really enthusiastic, like, hey, welcome, you know. And, yeah. It'd be like WQRI-FM 88.3 WQ, where the rock never stops. Yeah, so every now and then I'd go into Mr. Radio, which was like kind of used car salesman meets radio broadcaster, which is totally not really me. Animated, yes, but not really me. But yeah, so marketing can require, yeah, and true. And that's also part of it. So it's kind of like a dual-edged sword for me, is looking at it from, if you want exposure, you need to speak up. If you want something, you have to ask for it, right? Right, a lot of them are like that, John. But that's kind of the thing. But you need to market. You need to, if you need help, you need to ask for it, right? So it's that kind of like that happy medium of kind of saying, hey guys, I could really use your help, without being like, hey, subscribe. Sunday. Monster trucks. Wait, there's more. And how much you pay for this? But wait. That kind of stuff. I'm not into that sensationalist type craziness. However, I see a lot of that. Yeah. Ones that ask a question will be fooled for a moment. And yeah, that is good. It's true. So this is kind of the thing. Okay, you're questioning if I'm in my 40s. No. I'm not. I'm not in my 40s. No. I wish I could say I was in my 40s. I am not in my 40s presently. I have made the next milestone. Yeah, John, okay. We wish we were 21 again. To know everything that I know right now and experience life as I have and go back to 21, damn, all I can say. Damn, the things I could accomplish at 21. No, but things are different. The world's a different place. And all these gray hairs, I pretty much earned them. So I called them my Gandalf grays now. So now I'm at the point of getting more towards Yoda and where Luke Skywalker is now. Except he's now dematerialized and now he's a spirit force, or soul force, or a spirit form, or ghost form, or I don't want to do that yet. But yeah. But I'm not in my 40s. In fact, I'm not embarrassed about it. I'll actually tell you my age. I'm actually hit the milestone of 50 in December. So yeah, the big 50. I'm half a century old. And that's not great. But it is what it is. What are you going to do? I'm not going to fake it and say, hey, I'm 30 years old. This is premature Gandalf. Not even close. But the interesting fun fact, little moonsight for you, is a lot of the information I know now, right? A lot of the information I know now that I pass on to you is information that I've accrued from a long time. So this is stuff while other people were partying, having a good time and stuff. No judge. I'm not judging. I'm not criticizing. I actually enjoyed studying. I enjoyed learning things. I enjoyed learning things about the human condition. I enjoyed people watching. I enjoyed psychology and sociology and watching. You know how you watch Animal Planet, right? You know how I watch Animal Planet and they're and in the immortal spirit of Steve Irwin, he'd be like, look at that pretty mama. Isn't she gorgeous? Crikey, she's amazing. She's gorgeous. Well, the cricket's in my phone. Apparently my phone isn't quiet enough. Let me see if I can quiet that cricket. Hang on a second. One moment, people. Okay, boop, boop, boop. All right, no more cricket. this is also the thing about being alive, is that it's kind of like HGTV. Like, you catch every little tiny thing. But even then, you notice I like organic sounds for even my notifications. You're welcome, Ariel. She's like, the lighting, the noise, the microphone. But she's a very good producer, I gotta say. But yeah, so ultimately, the downside. Well, it's true, Bradley, and I do pay attention to detail. I do. It's the part of that organic life is like you hear me quite often say that life is messy. It is. Life is not sorted. It's not perfect. It never is. There's always an up and a downside. All of that. No, well, actually, no, cutie cat. I did study. I did. It wasn't just studying in an academic type way. I was always fascinated with people. I was always fascinated with how people function and how things worked. And I will even say too, even with tearing apart equipment, like I would take things apart just to see how they fit, how they worked, how they functioned, what made them do what they did. And then sometimes I've had to rig stuff where it's like, oh, this isn't working right. Okay, I need to fix it. Henceforth, why, another little fun fact, when we were in Virginia City, we were at the Red Dog Saloon. I've taken apart a lot of things. I was at the Red Dog Saloon in Virginia City, Nevada. And now we didn't have all the equipment that we needed, right? So what ended up happening was we didn't bring a tripod. Brought everything else but the freaking tripod. So in speaking with Lauren, which was the owner of the Red Dog Saloon, Lauren, you rock. Great place as well. It was a great place to go there and have fun. A lot of cool people there. And the energy there was phenomenal. Very, very, very haunted. Virginia City is very, very haunted. So it's got a lot more inhabitants than you may expect. But what ended up happening was, here we are, we're there. We're propping stuff against ketchup bottles and whatnot. And I, of course, asked Lauren if I could live stream from there, if I can do a show from there. And he was like, cool, no problem. And so he saw what I was doing. He was like, hey, wait a minute. I got something. So he goes and takes a microphone stand. We don't even have the mount for the phone. So what we did was an old musician's trick, duct tape. Duct tape is like the saving grace for everything. So we literally found a way to duct tape the mount I had to the microphone stand. And it worked out. So again, it's about adaptability. And that's what we do every week. I can, Ariel can attest to this. A lot of people from when, my old radio station, we would attest to this. A lot of it we'd make do with things. And a lot of times, 15 seconds before, instead of being prepared, i.e. ready to hit the on-air button, it would be like 15 seconds in and be like, oh crap, I got a commercial to throw in. I have to set up two songs and a commercial, right? So now it's like 15 seconds before hitting the button and being like, where the rock never stops, and then go in there. But it was fun, for sure. But that's one thing you'll know, that it's never major. Insight with Moonshadow is never majorly sugar-coated. It's pretty organic. So yeah. Okay. Well, for the sake of answering your question, the reason why they do that is because there are songs that are in heavy rotation, medium rotation, light rotation. There's power hitters. There's power shots where they're power hitters, and then there's other. Like they'll bring up stuff from a long time ago. But what happens is the reason why you hear Taylor Swift, 3 times an hour is because it is a popular song. If the song is popular, it's considered in the heavy rotation. Then as the song becomes less and less popular, it goes from heavy rotation to medium rotation to light rotation. So if it's heavy, you're going to hear it like 3 times an hour, give or take. If it's medium rotation, you might hear it, once an hour, something like that. And then if it's light, you might hear it every other day or a couple of times a week or something like that. Now, I don't know the whole algorithm for it, but that's, in a nutshell, that's basically how it works. So that's why you hear songs all the time, because that's what brings in the money. Because Taylor Swift or Metallica or, or J-Lo or whoever, Primus. That's how they get their cash, with rotation. And you hear a lot of it. Like, what was the song? Okay, like like that song Psy, Gangnam Style, right? You hear that song once and it gets stuck in your head. Well, they were playing that song quite often because it was in the heavy rotation for quite some time, to the point where it's still stuck in my head. And I happen to love that song. And that grew me. I kind of warmed up to, sorry, Bradley. Ooh, Gangnam Style. And it grew on me to the point. Totally forgot about that, yeah? Like, one of the songs that sticks in my head, and I actually posted, I posted it not in social media, I posted it in the chat. And I posted in the chat, and it was, now, if you like animated movies, and if you like Disney, I believe it's Disney. I kind of lose track with Disney and Pixar and DreamWorks because they're all very similar. They all kind of go by the same formula, but Moana, oh my God, that is such a great movie. Now, one of my favorite movies is The Lion King, but here we go. Moana is amazeballs. But there is, thank you. And there is, in that, I went and cleared a house recently. Well, not recently. This is going back when I was on the West Coast. I cleared a house, and when I cleared the house, they had Moana on, and I'd never seen Moana, and they were doing the song. Yes. Oh, that's right. So then one of the kids that lived in the house, adorable little kid. She was just so cute. The song, one of the songs that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson sings is "You're Welcome." Well, the mom was saying to her daughter, "You're welcome," and I'm like, "That's so cute. Where's that?" And that's from Moana. So on the way back on the plane, I was able to actually see Moana, and I was like, I fell in love with the movie. So it was all good. Disney movies rock. I've even gone on a Disney cruise. And if you get the chance, Disney cruises are most excellent as well. Excellent. Well, I know, and Cutie Cat had mentioned about questions and personal questions and whatnot. Well, there are some questions I don't mind answering. And then there's other questions that, as open and as out here as I am, I'm also a very private person, which is kind of weird. I'm an ambivert. I'm not quite an omnivert. I'm not quite an introvert. Not quite an extrovert. I'm an ambivert. So yeah. So, any other questions before we get on the topic? Yes. I actually have a topic. This would be fantastic if I didn't have a topic. But today I have a topic. Hear that? And it's a good topic too. Not because I picked it. It was intuited. Part of it was intuition. Part of it was just circumstance where things happen. And then part of it's, the universe going, ooh, how about this? So yeah. So any other questions before we formally start the show? What's great about this aspect of things is they're like little snippets that my editor can go in and kind of take little parts out and edit to different aspects, because we're still in the process of going through some major editing through some things. And the topic is... So you guys ready for the topic? Yeah, I'm sorry, Ariel. And I will say this, and I will say this honestly as well. I want to go back to actually planning ahead. Because at one point in time, it wasn't like last second. It would be the day of, I would know. And I am sorry. It's terrible. It's a terrible thing. It's terrible, especially when you're a planner. When you're a type of person that's a planner mentality, and someone just goes ahead and just is like off the cuff, shooting from the hip. You never know what this person's going to say or do. Unpredictable. Yeah. Exactly. It's awful. I know, it's terrible. I should give my insight team raises. I'm just horrible to work with. Terrible. Tyrant. I try not to be. Anyway, I know I have my ways, and I do, but I try to be I try to do things in the best way possible. Yeah, well, we try. Again, and thank you for saying that. I thank you for saying that, Michael, because there is definitely a difference between a leader and a boss. A boss just barks orders, and I don't like that. Even when I've been in supervisory positions, when I've been in a few, I am not the type of person to bark orders or say, you should blah, blah, blah. No. Anytime I've gone into a supervisory position, the first thing I would do is I'd have a little powwow with everybody and say, look, yeah, I'm the one that's most responsible here because I have to deal with the paperwork or whatever. I said, but all of us are important because we're all parts of this process. And if there's a broken piece, then it causes problems. Right. Exactly. So I am a firm believer in, if you are a leader, you bring in people that are good at what they do. If you're not as good at it, and then that's how you make a finely tuned machine. And that's how you do it. And it is an art form. You're absolutely right, Bradley. For example, like with editing, I used to do some editing and things like that. I used to work I used to record my own stuff, which I want to go back to, recording music again. But the thing is that all that detail-oriented stuff, I'm out of practice. And that was analog. So now to go back, to upgrade to digital, that's a bit different. And if you already know someone, i.e. my trusty producer, she's just amazing at editing. So I can literally be the creative spirit source person that I am and just say, this is what I want it to look like. This is kind of what I'm thinking. And then she can, Exactly. and you're empowering people and they're empowering you. That's one thing that I think corporations make a big mistake in. They do not invest in the people that work with them. And it is a we. And you notice, I don't always say join me. Sometimes it's join us, is join the conversation. Because this is why I'm still doing the live thing. Because I could just record it and put it up, on a YouTube video like a lot of people do, which there's nothing wrong with. But I like this interaction. I like the fact that you guys are here. I like the fact that you guys have questions. I love that. Plus, being an old, a DJ and a musician and whatnot, it's that back and forth, that energy is what keeps me going. So when I say at the end of every show how much I appreciate you guys, it's because I really do. And it may be 100, and I may only have right now, presently 149 subscribers, but I'll tell you, they are amazeball 149 subscribers from all over the planet. So they're incredible subscribers, the 149 that I have. So I can only hope to continue that trend and get up to 1,000 or whatever, as high as possible. Yes, I drive her nuts. I do. I am not easy to work with. No. It's kind of like that. They're not the boss of me, because people have tried. So, yeah. But, let's get on the topic. I'm going to be my own inner producer. I'm going to invoke my little inner producer. Topic! So, yes, Yep, enough said is right. With an Aries Taurus rising. No joke. I call them the committee. All my signs are like in committee. Seriously. But yeah, so let's get this started. Hopefully you guys can stick around a while. I don't suspect that will be longer than an hour. It may run about that, may a little less, maybe a little more. I don't know. You never know. But I think it's a good topic. So let's start the show. And thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys being here. Lots of cracks beer and rolls of dew. And I really appreciate you guys being here. You guys rock, for sure. And I mean it. From the bottom of my heart. From the cockles and the subcockles of my heart. You guys are amazing. All right. So looking at about 38 minutes and 45 seconds, by the way. So you can look at that. All right. So you ready to go? Awesome. All right. Welcome to Insight with Moonshadow. I am Moonshadow. I'm an Integrative Holistic Therapist, CHI-vangelist, earthy, crunchy guy, and overall just global citizen, and someone that tries to help empower, help be being part of the solution, as opposed to being part of the problem, because we all are bright lights to shine in the world. So. Interesting topic today. Now, coming up, we, of course, have Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is coming up. Today is Monday. We're looking at 2 days. So, looking at Wednesday. So, Wednesday is Valentine's Day. And I want to give a big shout out to my godnephew, Christian. Happy birthday. You're getting old. It's all downhill from here. Just saying. But he was my Valentine when he was born many, many years ago. So, happy birthday. So, yes, so now, apropos to Valentine's Day, Now, of course, Valentine's Day is very, very important, but we're taking a deeper and more of a spin on not necessarily Valentine's Day, but love. Now, but this is not just typical conversation about love. Now, you know how people will tend to say the heart and the mind, right? The heart and the mind are two different things. Well, believe it or not, there's consequences, and there are symbiotic connections to the heart and the brain, or love and the brain. Hey, Kendra, welcome, welcome. Ah, fantastic, because they were Valentine's babies too. Cool. So now we're talking about love and how it works, how it functions. So there will be some geek nerdiness here, but there also will be some of my own intuition and my own experience of what I've experienced and what I've observed with other people. So now, looking at it from that perspective. Now, see, love is very, very interesting because as much as it's an emotion, it also brings up hormones and chemicals in your body as well. And this is something that we forget about. So let's just give you a little situation. Let's pick a couple of names here. As my dog comes out to say hello. So now have a little situation. Now you go ahead and you meet someone for the first time. And of course, what happens? You see that guy or girl, and what happens? The first thing you do is you see something. You see them, and you go, "Ooh, interesting. That person's interesting." And then you start to go through, yeah, well, there you go. And then you start to, there's something about that person that intrigues you in one shape or form. Now, some people go with the physical. And of course, I will say it always starts with the physical. Sorry, not sorry. It always is what it is. Because you're not going to say, I bet that person has an incredible mind. We're not going to lie. There's always going to be some kind of attribute that is going to attract you to that person. So it starts on a physical, chemical basis. Let's just be fair and be honest. And attractiveness is variable. You know, it's like art. It's subjective, right? So it really depends on you, the beholder. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So we all know this. So you could look at someone and go, wow, that person's got beautiful eyes. That's cool. You could be a leg person. You could be a chest person, arms person, whatever. But see, what ends up happening is you end up starting with that physical connection, that physical intrigue, that physical attraction. And then once you get from that point, and then you hopefully interact. Now, when that happens, when the interaction happens, so a lot of crazy things happen then. A lot of things happen with this crazy interaction. What happens is chemicals start going crazy. So those butterflies in your stomach, they're butterflies. Don't get me wrong. But there's more than just the butterflies. These are actual chemical impulses that happen as well. Hang on one second. This is what happens when you do things in different parts of the place. You get organic sounds. Just saying. That you can't edit out. Okay, then there's me, and I'm the friend of Moonshadow has to explain to people before he introduces me to people. No, it's all good. No, it's all good. John is like my brother of another mother. We've known each other for a bazillion years, which is very coolio. But see, now this is the thing. So now when you connect with someone, you're physically attracted, and then when you're physically attracted, then you look at that point, then you can connect with them on a conversational. You start listening to them. Then you can see their personality. Then you can see certain things. And that, for example, like say, for example, if you meet somebody that, like say you look at, you see a guy, all right? So you see someone, and then you go talk to them, if you're ballsy enough, right? You go talk to them. So you go talk to them, and what happens? You get this, okay? You go sit down, you say, hey, you sit down next to them, you say hi, and all of a sudden, this looks like an attractive dude, whatever, attractive to you, since it's subjective. And then you, all of a sudden, you say hi, and out of his mouth goes, hi, how you doing? You're like, whoa. He could sound like a cartoon character. That may change. That may change the chemicals in your brain, potentially. But the thing is, that's how we have to interact, right? You have to kind of interact and get to know the person better. So, that's always a start, right? So you have to do that. You have to start that way. So it always starts on the physical, and it's not saying it's and I'm not trying to sound superficial. It's not about superficial. These cavemen have been doing this forever. Cavemen would look at a woman. They would see a hardy woman. They would see a woman that had good childbearing hips, someone that was strong, someone that they know that they could carry their babies, and then that's who they would be attracted to, because they would know at that point that they would be a good partner. They knew that they would be like, you know what I mean? They'd be like, ugh-like, for the sake of sounding like a caveman for a second. But the thing is, that's how they did it. So we're not much different than the cavemen to this day. So it's now 2018. Now, if you're a female, male, whatever, you know what you like. So you're going to look, and then you're going to be like, whoa, wait a minute. Who's that? And it could be a multitude of things. I actually, and this is a fun fact. Oh, see, there you go. That's awesome. What about the skinny ones? Elaborate. But that's how it works. So now, if you look at that from that perspective, that's kind of how it worked. Now I know what you're talking about. Like back in cave, in when we were tribal, way back when we were cave people, the more frail men and women probably didn't get a whole lot of dates. They probably didn't. From a psychological, from a sociological perspective, they probably didn't get any at that point in time. Yeah, right. Bradley, you're absolutely right. And then that's the other aspect of things. Well, maybe. Now, of course, now you can have someone that, and I'm a big advocate to body positivity. So I will follow a lot of people that are involved with body positivity and good juju. So a lot of times I look at that from that perspective, where there's so many different types of models now. It's not just models from thinner models. There's big and beautiful models. There's hand models. There's you name it. It runs the gamut nowadays, which I think is amazing that they do that now, because no one fits in a certain size, in a certain cookie cutter way. Everyone is different. All of us are unique. All of us are. So, with that being said, in the fact of body positivity, it really depends. Oh yeah, you can and that's also part of it too. Now, if you are motivated financially, then it's one thing. But if you're not, it depends. Some people, it's a figure. If they're driving around in a Bentley or a Mercedes or whatever, and again, no judgment, no criticism. If that's what you like, If that is what you're attracted to, then so be it. Go for it. If you're attracted to only like mega supermodel attractive people, then go for it. That's fine. Let's just go for it. It's just, if that's what you like what you like, and that's what you do. But ultimately, it's, you obviously know what you're attracted to. So now when love kicks in, now you get the butterflies, right? So let's move it ahead a little bit. So now, say for example, you've had a conversation and you really enjoyed the conversation with this person. Now, then you start, even though you may not have check boxes, in your mind, in your brain, you have these little mental check boxes that get checked, right? So physical, you're like, ooh, yeah, physical. Ooh, yeah, mental. I had a really great conversation with them. It's like, oh, wow, I emotionally feel good around them, you know? And then you start finding yourself, you know, kind of wondering. And that's when the chemicals start to kick in. Now, the interesting thing about the chemicals that kick in, and it's funny because love does have the emotional component to it, of course. It has a spiritual component to it. There's soul contracts that you can have with people. There are soulmates. There are twin flames. There's so many different variables. I can make your head spin. Because we are all body, mind, and spirit. So that's all part of the connection. It's all part of the formula. However, there's a scientific reason why you fall in love too. And this is the part that people don't always figure out. Because that also changes. So now, say for example here. Now, one of the first things that start happening is when you start feeling those butterflies, it's not just butterflies, you have the chemicals of dopamine and norepinephrine. Is it norepinephrine? Did I get that right? Yeah, dopamine and norepinephrine. Now, what happens is that production kicks in. So now you're excited, right? You're excited about it. You're like, wow, who is this person? So now you could be sexually, oh yeah, dopamine, right? And that's how it is. And dopamine also gets produced, that's the feel-good hormone that gets produced when you have chocolate. So when you have chocolate, you also have this dopamine production. Wine also has similar attributes. So you notice when someone drinks wine, they don't usually get mean. People usually get mean with wine most of the time, right? Because what happens is that kicks in your feel-good, those feel-good hormones and the feel-good chemicals in your brain. Same thing with chocolate. So it's interesting how falling in love and having chocolate is more similar than not chemically. Now, of course, there's a spiritual aspect to falling in love where you just think the person's amazing and you want to be with them 24 hours a day and all that good stuff as well, of course. And that makes it's a huge difference as well. You know. So, but this dopamine production, this you know, accelerated heart racing type thing every time you see the person, those butterflies, if you will, that happen, that's just craziness. You're like, why am I feeling like this? But why? You know? Now, part of it is because it's brain chemistry. This brain chemistry is kicking in, and it's like all your cylinders are getting lit up because, you know, and being someone that has experienced this more times than probably an average human being in life, it is an amazing feeling. Now, funny thing about this, though, is we tend to want things, you know, immediate gratification. We want all the check boxes clicked and all that good stuff. It doesn't always happen that way. This is where, when the chemicals lower, it changes things, you know? So that's when the honeymoon period is kind of over, which is kind of funny. Because at first you're like, oh, that's when the whole rabbit thing comes in. And this is a PG show, or PG-13, so we're not going to get into different... So, rabbits, we have enough adults in the room, we know what rabbits do. So, So at first, it's amazing, and it's like rabbits. Oh, I'm so sorry, Bradley. Oh, that's terrible. But hey, you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's called adaptation. You just have to adapt a little bit. And if you adapt a little bit, then you can get past it, because, you just gotta switch your brain to a different space. And in Europe, a lot of women do that kind of thing. He's like, I'm really trying, man. I'm really trying, but you know what? Now, see, that's another thing. Now, we'll touch on that topic, since Bradley kind of segued into that topic. Isn't it interesting, as a side note, that you're not snuggling next to Bob. She can't be that hirsute. And for all you kids out there, hirsute means very hairy. You can Google it. But in Europe, that also wasn't. That was a trend later on. I can't remember the exact date where women started doing all that shaving and adorning kind of thing. But that's it does happen. But interestingly enough, when you're comfortable in a relationship, and I'm not going to agree to this. I don't think this is correct. I don't think this is right. So I'm going to stand here and I'm going to tell you, or sit here and tell you, that this is not necessarily right or good. A little moonsight for you. Do not let yourself go. Just because you are now in a committed relationship or you're married does not mean you could now let yourself go. Okay? And actually, Ariel too, I believe that they probably did the whole shaving thing, obviously, for hygiene too. Because back in the day, syphilis was running rampant. People are dying from STDs all over the place. They weren't very discriminative. They were kind of like, hey, you're kind of cute. Again, I don't agree with that either. But, so say you go ahead and you get involved with someone and you get comfortable with them. You're not comfortable. You guys are like Netflixing and chilling. Everything is cool. But there's an issue here. One thing that I think is a big faux pas, a big mistake, a big screw up, is people let themselves go. So you may go to the gym because you want to be presentable, right? You want to look good because you're on the market. Now, you no longer have to be on the market, right? So you have your girl or guy, and then you let yourself go. Then you gain, and I'm not talking about gaining a few pounds. I'm not saying being comfortable. I'm not saying anything like that. But what I am saying is, though, there's a level of, I'm comfortable with you, but I'm not going to use deodorant anymore. No. Soap is your friend. Just saying. Soap is your friend. So ultimately, you should still, and this is just my advice for you. If you want to keep, right? If you want to keep that spark going, if you want to keep that dopamine happening, you can still do that by maintaining yourself.
Oh, no way.
Now, of course, things are going to change. Who I am at 50, I'm not at when I was at 20. At 20, I had a 6-pack. At 50, it's more like an 8-pack, maybe a 10-pack. But still, I don't have a beer baby. So luckily, I don't have a beer baby, because that would be horrible. But that's, again, just my take on things. But it's also being still on the market. Unless you're married and you have that, allowing yourself to be comfortable is okay. But letting yourself go to the point where there's a lack of respect for your significant other, then it changes. That's the change. Now, let's just say, for example, you have, a couple that got together, and the male or female, I'm not going to pick and choose. This is not either or. the male or the female all of a sudden starts taking care of themselves. Now they start to actually get more fit. They start to look better and all that. So now that brings a whole new batch of emotions. That brings a whole new batch of situations that, like, now, since you let yourself go, now your significant other is looking better, dressing nicer, more appealing. Now if you don't have those strong foundations in your relationship, now you're going to be concerned. They're going to be wondering, has she met someone? Has he met someone? That kind of thing. And then you have a whole different psychological battle on your hands. So if you want to get past this stuff, maintain. Try to keep yourself healthy and fit to some degree. And it's not about shape as far as your shape, because you could be, if you're 6 feet, you're not going to all of a sudden become 7 feet or 5 feet. It's just who you are. Accept yourself for who you are. However, don't let yourself go to the fact that it is sending a message to your significant other that I don't care about you. If there is a certain, like if you're female, if there's a certain perfume or a certain outfit that your guy likes or your significant other, because I'm a big subscriber to, if you're in love, you're in love. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter. 2 women, 2 men, doesn't matter to me. Love is love. So if there's a perfume or an outfit or something like that your significant other likes, bust it out every now and then. If there's a certain restaurant, or if there's a certain thing that they enjoy that you do it. This is one of the reasons why love turns to monotony, and then monotony turns to alone and divorce. One of the big things too is communication. You do a hell of a lot more communication when you meet someone than 10 years later. And it's unfortunate, but it's kind of a fact too. So things change. All these chemicals that are going through your body and all these chemicals that are going through your mind, they eventually change. We all age. We all change and get older and whatnots. But the thing is, there are certain connections that you need to maintain that strong base of who you are. Communication's important. Friendship, trust, communication is key as well. So all of these things is what love is. Love is, in the beginning, love tends to feel more conditional. I love you because, oh my God, when I first saw you, you were at the gym. Or when I first saw you, you were wearing this beautiful dress, or whatever it was. But then as things change, you evolve and that person evolves. So now some people don't evolve together or don't grow at the same rate of growth. That's unfortunate, because sometimes that is what also brings the breakup. So it's even, they both want what's best for each other and they want to be with each other, but things change. So now, so also too, let's see here. Yeah. Oh, okay. So this is also part of it too. So now, when you are in a relationship, you want to spend time with that person. You want to spend time, because if the more quality time you spend, and that's where you're going to have a happier life and more longevity. Yeah. Because any time that you don't have that quality time with each other, that also can cause a wedge or cause a spike in your relationship. Now, it doesn't matter if you're married. It doesn't matter if you're dating. It doesn't matter if you're going out, living, cohabitating, whatever. It doesn't matter. But there are a lot of benefits to quality time, quality emotions, and being able to be with that person and enjoying that person fully. So that's a big, big, important part. Not always do we realize this. We kind of sometimes forget. We let that go too sometimes. So now, like, for example, Now, there are some gender differences, and I will mention that. And this is going from some of the research I picked up. So now, in some of the gender differences, women are happier in the marriage if they spend quality time with their husband and family. So that's really, really important, right? Which it is. A lot of the students that I speak to, because of the work culture in South Korea, they have to work all the time. They work like machines, and they don't want to, but it's kind of part of the work culture. But the thing is, they miss out on quality time with their family. They watch their kids grow up without even realizing it. Oh, my kid is now 6, and I just, spent 6 years of my life in meetings or whatever, Yeah. So now, interestingly enough, now men are happy. Men are, again, also the hunter and gatherer aspect or mentality too. As providers, the person, and again, this is changing. I don't fully agree with some of this information because back in the day, men used to be the providers and women used to, rear the children. They used to bring the children up and raise the children. However, the paradigm has changed in a drastic way, which I think is fantastic because we are both polarized. We're both male and female polarizations inside each other because you have aspects of both male and female within you. And I mean that energetically because that what makes you a good dad and a good mom. You could be an incredible provider but be a horrible parent. So you can make all the money in the world, and I've known people that have been that way. They made incredible money. Their kids never went without, but they never saw dad or mom. That causes a rift and that causes problems, right? But some of the information here with gender roles is that men are happy. They're happier when their finances are good, when things are stable. I agree to that with a certain point. But also too, both genders are very, very happy when they know that they matter to their significant other. So there's that respect thing again. There's that connectivity thing again. So this is one of the reasons why there are people out in the world that when they fall in love and it doesn't work out, they don't get involved with someone for long periods of time because of that, because it's that grieving or mourning period. They can't just rally that quickly. So that's also part of it. So now, then there are now also too, what can affect people as well is legality as well. Like I knew one couple, yes, you're absolutely right. Belonging is more important than food and water in a human being. You're right. Absolutely right. If you matter to someone, they're more apt to being adaptable with you and you them. So even though, love doesn't pay the bills, no, it doesn't pay the bills. However, if two people love each other and respect each other, then they find a way to pay the bills. Does it make sense? It's true. So now, the same thing with children as well. One big mistake I'm not going to say mistake. It's a hard lesson because I don't believe in mistakes. I believe it's easy and hard lessons. But one hard lesson that people make quite often is the fact that when children are born, then it's all about the kids. Now, kids love you to pieces, but mommy and daddy need quality time. So, when they're infants, I get it. They need attention. They need to do all that. You need to raise them. You need to do all that. So this is when I suggest strongly that mom and dad have a weekly date night. Whether it's 1 week, once a week, or a couple times a month, have that reconnect. Because that reconnect is incredibly important. That is one of the big issues too, is communication drops and then there's that disconnect, and people don't always reconnect to each other. So once with all this happening, it's more than just a chemical thing. It takes work, and a lot of people realize, hey, okay, this is great. I met him, we get married, we're done. That's good. Now we can just be happily ever after. Now, I would love that. That'd be fantastic if it would just be happily ever after, and that'd be like Disney. Life is not Disney, unfortunately. I wish it could be, but it's not. It takes work. It takes being, and this is something also people that forget too in relationship, is they forget about being friends. You have to be friends with your significant other. You have to be best friends, lovers. You have to be everything, or touch base on all those little aspects to maintain that spark. I will say that I've been fortunate to witness in my lifetime situations and couples that were well into their 60s and 70s, and they were still holding hands. And you'd swear if you were blind and did not see them, it would be no different than they were teenagers. Now that is phenomenal. But again, there's the magic. It's less magic and more really of a formula in some ways. So what happens is that communication never broke down. And if it did break down, they picked it back up. Right? So if you want to use a sports analogy, the ball has to keep moving, right? So if you're playing soccer, you're kicking the ball has to keep going towards the goal. So it's the same thing in the relationship. So now people, if you look at a couple that doesn't get to see each other, and I've seen this often, where the mom works certain hours, the dad works certain hours, the kids see them kind of intermittently in the gray areas, where it's like around dinner time-ish or something, and they don't really get to spend the whole time with the family. This is what's happened with a lot of disjointed families. Now there's a new trend where people are starting to have family night again, game night. They're starting to do that again, which is great, because with all this digital minutia happening, we lose track of our humanness, and we're not connecting as like we used to. So with all these communication tools, we're not communicating. Strange, isn't it? So that's part of the scenario there. So now also too, romance, there is no real formula to romance. Like anything that I'm bringing up is basically aspects to potentially keep that spark going. There is no tried and true, black and white, step-by-step way of maintaining that spark. Because again, life is messy, so you never know what can happen in your life. You never know what can change. People can grow again, as as different rates and different ways, and they could grow apart. And that does happen. It's unfortunate, but that does happen. So now, say for example, now there's the brain-heart connection to date night, as I mentioned. Now, one of the important things too is, now you notice how I mentioned about if there's a certain outfit that your significant other loves, or perfume or something. That's good, right? But there's also interests. Now, you may be very different, and you may like watching a game. So, say for example, you like watching football, and your girlfriend or wife likes watching HGTV, as an example. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you being somewhat interested or showing interest in HGTV. In the same, and in retrospect, also too, for you being interested in what your guy's doing. That's cool. if he's doing certain things, if he's out, out in the garden or something, going over and checking out what he's doing, kind of thing. That reconnect is very, very, very important. And when you don't have that connection anymore, that's when things start to go downhill. That's when things start to really change, which is unfortunate. So now there's a lot of relationship experts that say a lot of things, and they put together a lot of information. Now, a lot of getting together, and again, like when I said date night or anything like that, it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you're both enjoying doing it. Now, I have known couples that, and I've done this myself, where a date night didn't really require going anywhere. A date night was basically, watching a movie, and now you have that trend of Netflix and chill, which is code for other things. But there's that, watching a movie and just relaxing on the couch. And the kids aren't home. That's fantastic. You send the kids off to one of the rellies, one of the relatives. That's their job. It takes a village to raise a kid. There's absolutely nothing wrong with grandma, or grandpa, or auntie, or uncle, or a cousin to watch the kids for the night. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's incredibly important to maintain that spark in that way. Because if you don't do that, then love does change. Love changes to like, then like changes to your roommates, and then roommates changes to it's over. No one wants that. So, also there's the adaptability in relationship too. So trying something new is kind of nice. So let's just say, for example, and this is just a suggestion, you want something interesting to do. Try something you never did before, or something they never did before. Like try ballroom dancing. Like Dances with the Stars, for example. You got Dancing with the Stars now, which is a really huge and it's an incredibly popular show. They take celebrities and professional dancers, put them together, they train these celebrities, and they come out being incredibly amazing dancers. Now, this is what I'm saying. Do something interesting. There's wine and dine. Paint together. Do some kind of wine tasting or tour. Or there's so many different things you can do to keep that connection going, which is really, really important. A lot of times we forget that. Also, too, on another footnote here too, is unless in the dynamic one person is more dominant and one person is more submissive, unless that works for you, no one person is more important than the other. Okay? So that's also part of it too. One person cannot be more important than the other. So it's not about, I'm going to do everything for my wife. What she says goes. So, yes, we've heard the saying, happy wife, happy life. That's a little bit of a misnomer, because if the happy wife knows that you're just accommodating her so she shuts up, now you get a problem. It's not a happy wife anymore. So that's where partnership kicks in. So it's not all about, yes, honey, yes, honey, yes, honey, even though I know some people that probably would benefit from that. However, I don't necessarily subscribe to that kind of mentality. I think, again, it's partly of getting together and maintaining that kind of connection, maintaining that spark in that way. Okay, so now there you go. So now Ariel is saying happy wife, happy life does not mean you should compromise your own happiness to appease someone else's. There's got to be a balance. And I agree completely. There are things I may like that my significant other won't like. It's possible. So we don't do, well, so we we adapt or find some other way or something like that. Now, obviously, there could be situations like if it's a dietary thing, like if you're an omnivore, like I'm an omnivore, and if I, went ahead and got involved with a vegan, again, no criticism or judgment, from a person that's very unlimited, that I can eat whatever, to someone that is very limited or they are very particular in what they eat, that changes things. So now it's a little bit of a learning curve in that case. So you go to a restaurant which can have vegan meals in it. It takes a little bit of work, but again, anything like that, any kind of connection that way, does take work. It's not just plug and play, and it works all the time. Even electronics don't work all the time, tried and true perfectly 100% of the time, as we know with this live stream and with this digital media that we call life. So now you have oxytocin. Now, oxytocin's amazeballs. All right, now this is what causes your butterflies in your stomach. Now, this is also called a love hormone. So now, when you fall in love, a lot of that oxytocin is happening. Oxytocin also happens when you bond with your children. So that oxytocin level, when that comes in, that also helps. Oh, there's another perfect suggestion too, like couples cooking together, right? So there's a lot of different services now. Say, for example, neither one of you really cook a lot. You got HelloFresh, you got Plated, you got a bunch of different ones. You got Blue Apron, I think it is. You've got a bunch of different aspects to things that will help you. That will help you put together. You can put a meal together. See, these are little things. You have to be creative. So it's always about trying to get the next date, really, if you really think about it. It's always about, let's do something different. Let's try bowling. Let's do mini golf, or let's go to the theater, or whatever it may be. There are going to be certain things that you may not be interested in, but you never know until you try. So now with oxytocin, for example, this oxytocin starts and it releases into the brain with human contact. So that's the precursor to oxytocin. There has to be human contact. So when that happens, when you bond with that person, see now, for example, like when women are breastfeeding, which I'm going on a tangent, but breastfeeding is an incredibly beautiful and natural thing. Anyone that judges and criticizes or thinks it's dirty or not nice or whatever it is, they've done countless studies on it. Girl can walk by with her boobs hanging out, everything's perfectly good, but a woman who's breastfeeding her kid, all of a sudden people get moral. BS, people. Let the woman breastfeed. It's a beautiful thing. Just a little moonlight for you. But when a woman's nursing her infant, oxytocin's involved because she's bonding. Okay, when people are hugging, for example, during sexual activity, it's happening as well. So, oxytocin can also be helpful people with individuals with autism, believe it or not. Okay, so there's also that, because there's a stimulus deficiency. So when you bond in that way, you gotta get that person's attention. You gotta get that connection. And my dog is playing with his toy. So now, let's see here. So yes. So also now let's go with the shadow side of things, because we gotta touch the shadow. We gotta touch a little bit on the shadow side. On the shadow side of things, oxytocin can also be kind of demonic, and I did say demonic, but I don't mean demonic like possession. Well, kind of, but it in the positive end, in the love and light end, you're in love. Everything's wonderful. Everything's perfect. Everything's beautiful. the person does no wrong, right? But then again, when does oxytocin, when can oxytocin go wrong? I know this sounds scary. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. When oxytocin, when it could be a problem, oxytocin is also responsible for envy, jealousy, possessiveness. See where I'm going now? If you could love someone and love someone too much to the point where you won't share. Hey, Mindy. Welcome. So there's the shadow side to oxytocin. There's that shadow side to love. Crimes of passion. You hear of crimes of passion. There are people that have committed murder because they couldn't live without them. That's oxytocin going wrong. That's a big problem. But then it could be psychological deficiencies as well that's happening, and that's not healthy, of course. But this is part of it. And by the way, welcome. All you new viewers, welcome to the show. So this is also part of it. So that's the shadow side to love. Love and hate aren't that much different. The difference between love and hate is what's positive. I want you near me, or get the F away from me. Basically, it's the same. It's the same. It's the two sides of the same coin, in a lot of ways. So also too, something that is also. But basically with oxytocin that does fuel or make the jealousy worse or envy or possessiveness worse, because now you're fueled. Now you get this endorphins going in. Well, it could be, and again, I'm not going to say you're wrong with that. But the intensity of love and hate, the intensity it's real. It's similar in the sense. Anyone that's averse to something they hate, right? I try not to use the word hate too often because honestly, even in the landscape that we're in today, in the divided states of America, presently, unfortunately, I have to call that the divided states of America. I don't hate anyone. I may not agree with someone. I may not like someone's decisions, but I don't hate them. To hate, it requires a lot of energy, and it actually drains you, and it's not really helpful. So just a little fun fact for you. Hating does not help you. And I'm not sure they think this is a mother, a wives' tale, but I've seen this actually happen. If you are pregnant and you hate the person that basically you hate someone, or you hate the person that you had the baby with. Interestingly enough, and I've seen this happen on more than a couple of occasions, the baby looks just like them. So that's kind of like karma kicking in. Just a little fun fact, don't do it. Don't hate anyone, especially if you're pregnant. Just letting you know. Don't do it. Because I've seen it happen. It's like, oh, you look just like your father. You look just like your father. Oh, I couldn't stand him then. I can't stand him now, but you look just like your mother. Or your mother drove me crazy. Look at you. You remind me of your mother. Now, interestingly enough, isn't it funny? Isn't it funny how whenever the kid's being good, they're your kid. But when the kid's not being good, they're your significant other's kid. You're just like your father. Or you're just like your mother. This is see what your kid did? See what your child did? Your child's just like you. You know? It's true. Interesting information. Let's see. Okay, and also too, by the way, love can be just as addictive as cocaine and heroin. By the way, brain-wise, it can be just as addictive. Because I have also known people that were in love with the concept of love. They lacked follow-through, but they loved love. They just loved just the whole, the build-up. And once they get there, whatever. Not good. So that's also an issue. So let's see here. Looking through my little notes. And I did, have some serious, I did get some serious notes this time. Oh, okay, also too. Okay, here's a few extra little fun facts around hormones as well. Now, also too, another little fun fact, you actually live longer. People that are married in good relationship will actually live longer than people that are single. So, just letting you know, if you want longevity, if you have a mate, there's more chances that you are going to live longer than not. Also, pet owners too. If you're a pet parent or a pet owner, you also have more of a chance of living longer than being alone with no pets and no children. Alone. By yourself. With Jiffy Pop popcorn and Netflix. Alone. Got the message? Good. So. But friends are good too. Socialize. It's important. Being alone is not always good. Introspection's good. But, and I'm an ambivert, right? So I need my alone time too. I like having my little cave moments where I'm just kind of doing nothing if I choose to do nothing. I think it's great. But let's see here. Okay, we spoke about oxytocin and dopamine. That's good. Pleasure center. Like crack. That's good. Okay, now also too, another big aspect of things with love. Now, love is fantastic. Of course, you're like rabbits. Everything is beautiful. But then there's support there. There's support system. There's that connection, that reconnection, that constant ongoing ebb and flow. But you notice ebb and flow. That's the really important thing. If you don't have that, that's when love changes. So if you are one of those people that go ahead and say, don't pay any mind to your significant other all year, but on Valentine's Day, you treat them really nicely on Valentine's Day. I have one word. In fact, no, I don't even have a word. I've got a sound effect. Wrong. Valentine's Day should be every day. You should appreciate that person often. Now, let's see. Let me take a quick look at what else here. No, I think I'm good with that stuff. I think. All right. But it's serious. Look at this. This is like a lot. Okay, so now, got rid of one that was like that years ago. See that? There you go. I'm glad you said that, Ariel. That is phenomenal because that's where I was just going to go next. Excellent. There is no such thing as 50-50. There's never been and there never will be. Never. Even in big, huge corporations, there's never such thing as 50-50. You have stockholders that will carry, they will hold, there will be 49% in the company, and one will be 51% of the company. That's just kind of how it works. Now, in relationship, it's the same thing. There is no such thing as 50-50 because unless you both have a stellar day, there is no such thing as 50-50. However, this is the takeaway with the whole 50-50 thing. If you strive to be 100% for yourself and your significant other, then it's less likely that there's going to be problems. For most of my life, as I got older, I realized the importance of communication to the level of, if you have a bad day, and this is just some tips and tricks for you, a little moonsight. If you have a bad day, let your significant partner know. Let your significant other know. Let them know. You know what? I just had a bad day. I'm just going to go take a shower. I'll be back. Whatever. Or I need to take a walk. Or I need to whatever. Whatever it is. Do not leave them out of it and not communicate. And then what happens is, if you don't communicate, now then they start to wonder what it is. Are you mad at them? Is this something they did wrong or whatever? And then lack of communication, it breaks down. And then when it breaks down, then all hell breaks loose. And it could make a snowball from one thing to a whole different other aspect of things. So there is no 50-50. So, because you can have one person that had an amazing day and one person that had a total crap day. So that person that had the amazing day, it's your job to kind of reach out and kind of uplift your significant other that was the 30 day, right? Or the crap day. So now it could be 60-40, it could be 70-30, it could be 100-100. Both people can have amazing days. It's possible. But this is also a big part of what maintains that connection, that chemical, the oxytocin release, that bonding. All of those things really are important. Now, doing things together are amazingly important. I have known multiple people that have lived separate lives, but they were married. That is incredibly heartbreaking to me. Seeing that, I can honestly say, and I will be vulnerable enough to say this, that's the one thing I've always ever wanted was, family, children, all of that. So it's not a lack of wanting. But the thing is, there are people in the world that actually took it for granted. And they could live in the same house. And you have, person A has this interest, does this and that kind of thing, and you have person B that has this interest and does this thing, and they don't get together. They don't have date nights. They don't do anything. They don't get involved with activities. They don't do any of that kind of stuff. So that being said, that's when it's going to end. You had chorus today? That's just a no-brainer. But people do that often, and that's something that's unfortunate, and that tends to bring a lot of other aspects to the relationship that causes damage, and it starts to erode the connection and the bond that was there. Maybe there was never a bond there. Maybe there was. You never know. But the thing is, if you let that communication go south, then it's not going to help you. Then it's going to change. Now, here's another little bit of food for thought for you, a little moonsight for you. If the person is a selfish individual, or if there's someone that you can't change that person. If we're all hardwired a certain way. And since we're all hardwired a certain way, that doesn't mean the person's going to drastically change. Like even a house and a blueprint. You take a house, you build a house, you can add an attachment to the house. You can add an addition to the house, but that blueprint is still the same. The house is still mainly the same. It's just there's the addition. You could make it look as organic as possible, like it was built that way, but ultimately there's an older part of the house and a newer part of the house. So in that same way, it's really, really important to realize that. Right. And Bradley, I agree with you. I agree with you. My God. Some people, I know incredibly intelligent people that lack common sense. And I know some people that have that are very street smart. They're not college educated, but they're incredibly intelligent in other ways. So it's very, very important. So all of this really makes a huge difference in your life. And now, a lot of this seemed like it was all on the romantic end, of things, but it really is about friendship. It's about everything. It's about your connections to another human being. If you want to bond to people that you care about, if you want to connect and have that bond, You need to be a better person. A better person for yourself and a better person for others. A lot of times you hear me, get on a bit of a soapbox about being good to people. And Ariel's right. Here you got love, friendship, and loyalty. Now, for example, one of the rings that I wear, and I'm not Irish, not in this lifetime, but you have the collada, right? So now let's just take a look at that. You see the collada ring, right? So you have loyalty, the heart is love, and the hands of friendship.
Yes.
Without any of those pieces, this ring wouldn't be held together, right?
Yeah,
and just be a band. But with any connection that we have, with any bond that we have with anyone, respect is important, connection is important, communication is important. All of these things are what's going to make you a better person, and it's going to make you a better person with other people. It's not all about you. It is all about you, but it's not all about you. Does that make sense? Did I confuse you? Not trying to, but ultimately, the better you are to you in a non-selfish way, though you take good care of yourself, right? Then the better you can be to other people. I was just talking to someone recently that had said that they're always concerned with other people, and they've got all kinds of things going on with them. Health is not as good as it could be. All of that stuff. Now this is someone I've known for a very, very long time. So what was my response and my bit of advice, my little bit of moonsight there, was the fact of, caring for other people is great, but then if you're not, and I use this metaphor with one of my students in South Korea as well. I had said, if you have 5% on your phone, your phone's at 5%, how many phone calls can you make? Not many, right? But if your phone is at 100%, how many phone calls can you make? How many websites can you check out? How many hours of music can you stream? We're no different. That spark, that resilience, that ability. And that's true. And Bradley, you're absolutely right. Only when you love yourself can you truly, give to another and be with another. Because ultimately, there are a lot of people, if you're unhappy, and let's just bring it down to the bottom line here. If you are unhappy, nothing is going to make you happy. So you have to start with making yourself happy, right? So all the money in the world, like say for example, money can't buy love. Money can't do a whole lot of that. It can rent a whole lot though. So money would be fantastic. However, if you're not a happy person, then money isn't going to do squat. It's just going to complicate, or it's going to increase what you already have. So if you're miserable and you're poor, money comes in, you're miserable and you got money. So the important part is, if you work on, and this is where it boils down to too, is if you work on your mind, body, and your spirit, and you try to be the best person that you can possibly be, then at that point you have something to work with. You have a good foundation to start off from that point forward to get to a better life. That's when you have a happy life, happy wife. Because you're having a happy life, you want a happy life, and you want a happy wife. So there's a balance there. So now, we have here, Ariel said, okay, but I think there's also an element of having others who remind us why they're lovable and who help remind us loving ourselves. Yes, there is a symbiotic connection where some people forget. Now, you do have, in this world, there are people that are givers and there are people that are takers. People that are receivers and then people that are transmitters. Now, two givers naturally kind of get along better because they're giving. They want to give. Two takers don't necessarily get along very well because they tend to be very, very narcissistic and very selfish. So they don't really care for each other. They care about themselves more than anything. a giver and a taker can work as long as both are happy with that connection. Both are happy with those roles. I myself, I believe that it's an ebb and flow thing, so it should change. It should be different.
Yeah, let me know tomorrow which one.
But ultimately, if you really, really look at it, the better you are for you, I'm not stepping all over people for my interests and my agendas and my benefit all the time, 24/7. The sun rises and sets on my ass. The less you are like that, the more of a chance that you're going to maintain a good life and be connected to people and find that person and have amazing family and live a good life. And I think that is really what's really important here.
Okay.
So, we're going to summarize things up real quickly. Now Valentine's is on Wednesday. I hope you all have a fantastic Valentine's. Remember, it's not about chocolates and all that good stuff, unless it's dark chocolate, because it might bring you out of depression. But ultimately, it's all about connection. It's all about reconnecting to the people that you care about. It's all about communicating that level of things with people where you are looking at how that works. So when you go from that perspective, then it changes. Because you are part of a much larger thing. We're all pieces and parts of this big, huge universe that we call the universe. It's like we're just amazing parts of everything. Even though we're a spark, that spark causes amazing things to happen at that point. Henceforth, why I started the hashtag after the fact of starting the tagline, be strong, be amazing, be you. This is how I started it. This is why I started it, for that reason. Because ultimately, the stronger you are, the better you are. The better you can be to others. The more you can change. The more you can change that ripple to a wave, from a wave to a tsunami. So that's really, really important. And definitely, and also too, and thank you very much for that. If you put out, and a lot of you here that come to this broadcast and are part of this show, and I love you dearly for it, put out really good, really, really important, prominent, amazing things in your social media. Motivational stuff, inspirational stuff, which is excellent. So you can go ahead and utilize the hashtag Be Strong, Be Amazing, Be You. Now, that on a scientific level, that's good to track the movement and track where it's going, how far it's going, and all that. Yes, that's not my main concern. But the fact is, the more it's used, more people will see it to say, wow, wait a minute. This is no stupid Tide Pod challenge or something redonkulous. This is something where if you're doing good in the world, you have a voice. So as much as I was kind of iffy on hashtags prior to, they're useful tools. So if you do something, if you put something out there that's motivational, inspirational, something that is a really good message out there for people, you're sending out good juju, you're putting out love and light, even if it's a repost, even if it's a share, throw the hashtag in. Be strong, be amazing, be you. Because then I'll be able to see it as well. Anyone will be able can check it out and look at it and go, wow, wait a minute. Look at all these people doing good things. Now, Michael, one of our family here, one of our clan, one of our tribe, he started a group on Facebook. People doing amazing things, or people doing good things, or supporting people that do good things. He just did that. And he utilized that hashtag. So big kudos to Michael for doing that. Also a big, huge supporter of the show and a lot of the creative things that we do here with Inside with Moonshadow. So I really appreciate all of that. So ultimately, are you in love? That's awesome. You want to be in love? That's awesome too. But you have to do the work. You have to find out the ins and outs of what you have to do to maintain that connection, to build and maintain that connection. A lot of times we don't do that. A lot of times we forget. A lot of times things fall by the wayside. And I'm to blame for that too. A lot of times you just don't have the energy to maintain everything. You don't have the energy to do things. And sometimes you just need to take a pause. Taking a pause is okay. But as long as you get back up on the horse and get back and do what you need to do, that's the important thing. And ultimately, that's what's important. So, we're going to end the broadcast now, but I'll tell you, I think the topic was a great one. I'm really glad that this topic came up. Part of it was because of Valentine's Day. That was this little spark that got us started. And then, of course, I wanted to bring up all the brain and all the science and all the aspects, all the mind, body, and spirit aspects to it. But I hope you enjoyed the show today. And I appreciate all of you for being here for the broadcast. You know, it's all of you that makes me continue to do this live. It's the interactions, the questions, it's the challenges, it's all of that. I appreciate all of that. And you guys are just incredible. So I just really appreciate you guys being here with me every week. And again, we just made 2 years. We passed the 2-year mark on Thursday, this past Thursday. And I wanted to do something. I wanted to celebrate and do something special, but it didn't work out that way, unfortunately. But thank you for being part of the journey here with Inside with Moonshadow Journeys and Inside with Moonshadow. There's a lot of new things coming up, so stay tuned. And if you know anyone that could benefit from this earthy crunchiness, social activism, being better in the world, being stronger, being more amazing, do let them know, share it, and tell them about the channel. Also hit subscribe. You can also hit the bell on the button at the bottom to get notifications when I go live, when I upload information. And I want to thank you all for being here. So, lots of love, lots of light to all of you. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, be strong, be amazing, be you. Take care, guys. See you next week.